Hello everybody, and thanks Linda for letting me be so much a part of today. Greetings from a chilly Australia. It's a privilege for me to offer some thoughts about Ralph, and we don't have long, so some things I'm going to ask you to follow up for yourself after this service. What a lovely man Ralph was, and what a wonderful relationship of well over 40 years Linda has to remember. She told me that Ralph used to say that they were true soulmates, and he never wanted to be far away from her and from his home, even when it meant he had to turn down work. He was a loving, devoted father and grandfather. All the kids adored him, and I've got some lovely photographs of Ralph with the children and the grandchildren at different ages. Mind you, I don't think I ever knew of Ralph cooking a meal. And he was very clever at getting Lynn to do the domestic bits. I understand from her that when she had her knee operation, he actually cooked her beans on toast. That was it, just the one meal. He took good care of his side of the relationship though. He was an excellent provider for his family, and in spite of having no formal qualifications, he was an extremely clever man. My impression is that Ralph could turn his hand to anything, mechanical, technical, technological. He could build things, change things, improve things, and he was always open to learning more, even things that he'd never tried before. Ask Linda about Tracy's trouser suit. Ralph loved his cars. Remember the Cosworth? And the only time I ever saw Ralph close to tears was the night when there was a deep frost, and it was the night after he'd put the alloy head on the block of his beloved E-Type, and the frost had cracked the block. Trevor can tell you more about that. Later his enthusiasm changed from cars to boats, and he got so much pleasure from boating, even recently. This time ask Lynn and Debbie about just how many boats they bought for Debbie to take back to Spain. One thing that never changed was Ralph's joy in his social life. Even when he was ill and feeling rotten, he would actually fib about it in case it meant they couldn't go out, especially to boatyards. He had a lovely sense of humour, especially around what was really silly and what other people might not think was funny at all. I remember when they lived in Winnosh, one Saturday morning, went round there, Ralph called, "Come in," and we went in to find him fully dressed, sitting in an avocado green bath in the sitting room. The baths had just been delivered for him to install in the bathrooms that he'd built, and he'd always wanted to have a bath in front of the fire. There was a time last year when Ralph felt especially ill and wanted to see the doctor because he was in so much trouble. She asked him to explain what was happening. He told her that he couldn't breathe. When she'd finished, she said, "Mr. Carter, you've just had a panic attack." He said, "How do you know?" She said, "Because you're sitting here telling me about it, and you couldn't do that if you couldn't breathe." He thought that was really funny. Linda wasn't quite so amused. Thankfully, there was only a short period at the end when he was really uncomfortable and in pain, and even there the humour was there. Like the night Linda helped him to the loo, and he didn't want to get up, he wanted to get down, so he laid down on the bathroom floor. Lynn was trying to persuade him to move, and he said, "How did I get into this position?" And then, "Oh well, it's all a laugh, isn't it?" She didn't think that was very funny either. Ralph's doctor said that he would never forget Ralph because of all his cancer patients. Ralph was one of the very few who always greeted him with a beaming smile. Do you remember that smile? Linda got one of those smiles in the last couple of days when nothing tasted very nice for Ralph. She made him a 1/4 pint of lager shandy, and that went down really well. Together with that smile and the head of hair and the enjoyment and the kindness, the thing that's going to stick with me was Ralph's telephone greeting. It was always the same, whether we lived next door to each other or in the 30 years I've lived in Australia. I'd announce myself over the phone and Ralph would say, "Hello, mate," with a voice of excitement and enthusiasm. I always felt that I was the very person he wanted to talk to. I can still hear his voice and feel that feeling of love and warmth and acceptance, even when the next thing he said was, "Would you like to talk to Lynn?" Ralph was a very special man. We loved him very much. We're all going to miss him dreadfully. God bless you. Thank you for listening. Love you, Lynn.